Three, two, one. We are officially starting. Welcome back to CheekzCast, episode whatever. I can't remember which one we're on. I have a guest here today. Very special guest from the People's Dispensary. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, man? My name's John Zalewski. We work together at People's OC.
Mm-hmm. And, John can't bother me. No, I'm just kidding. John wanted to do a podcast. He had some ambitions to do some on his own and, wanted to see how it was like. And I definitely, wanted to show him a good time. Yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
It's been a long time since I've done this. So
when's the last time you did one?
2 months ago.
Oh, not that long.
Well, sometimes it's like,
you try and do one once a week?
I was doing one once a week.
Oh, okay.
I have like 30 videos up right now.
Oh, shit. Like videos, like your...
Oh, no. Like 5 videos, and then like the rest are just...
the audio on YouTube.
Me talking.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And those definitely are a lot easier to do because you're not having to like do facial expressions and stuff like that. I'm not saying you have to put on a show, but like it's definitely like...
I've always said that like regardless if you're comfortable on camera, not comfortable on camera, just having a camera present changes your whole demeanor.
Yeah, well, even a microphone too.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, because
For sure.
Us talking at work is like it seems like it's very easy flowing.
Right.
But then like you throw a mic in front of us.
Oh yeah, it's a whole different dynamic for sure.
So John,
what's up, man?
We work at People's, and me and John are bud tenders there, and John has the best customer service out of anyone that actually I've met. These people.
Whoa.
Yeah. No, honestly. It is. I can't believe people still tip you after you get that with them. It's very hilarious. But I remember you telling me that like before, you were at People's, you were actually starting at the trap shops, before it was legal at the dispensaries. So I just kind of wanted to, ask like what was that like? How did you actually get into the cannabis industry?
Yeah, man. So like when I was like 24, so almost 10 years ago now, I was selling solar door to door.
I've heard of that. That's pretty good money, isn't it?
When you're 18, it's good money. When you start getting a little bit older, it's not as good money. When your responsibilities and bills start piling up, the money's not as good.
Is it like more like you don't know, you can get a big check one month and then like another month it could be
it depends. Like when I first started, when I was 18, going door to door selling like windows and shutters, every like 2 weeks on top of my paycheck I get a $300 or $400 commission check. And when your only bill is your cell phone bill, that $300 or $400 is like, oh shit, I just hit the lottery. But once you start getting older and you have a car payment and car insurance and a little bit of rent, then that $300 or $400 is not as, obviously not as much as it was when
basically nothing.
It's basically nothing. So like when I first started when I was 18, I was like, hell yeah, let's go. CPK on me.
CPK, what's that?
California Pizza Kitchen.
What's your favorite thing from there?
Just pepperoni pizza.
Oh,
they have a good Caesar.
Simple, man. Yeah.
They have a good Caesar.
Caesar salad?
Yeah, man.
They don't make a Caesar pizza?
Maybe they do. I've never had that. I'm just a classic, basic pepperoni pizza guy.
Yeah, let's just get this out of the way. John referred a pizza place to me, and 6 out of 10. That's what I get.
Yeah, he didn't like it, but you have to have good taste to appreciate good pizza. So I don't put that on. But anyways, yeah. So I started going door to door selling windows and shutters, and when I was 18, 19, 20, it was chill. It was fun. My buddy was doing it with me. I got some other friends to do it with me along the way, and then I stopped doing that. I worked at like a front desk at like a gym for like a year, and then went back to selling door to door, except this time it was solar, and it was the same amount of money, but like I said, I had more bills, so it was just like, oh, this isn't enough. Mm-hmm. And then throughout this time, me and my buddy are just like on our days off, we'd just be driving around, smoking, listening to rap, and eating crappy fast food all day.
Yeah.
And so we'd go to the same dispensary every single day or every other day. And eventually we went to one, and I got friendly with the owners, and they're like, hey man, like we're looking for bud tenders. Would you want to apply? And I was like,
fuck yeah, right?
Yeah, say less.
Oh, okay.
Where do I sign?
And do you remember the dispensary name, or do you?
Yeah, it was called, at the time, I don't know if they had named it yet, but it was called Bracalo Patient Group.
Okay.
And Brook Hollow was just the name of the like little side street the business center was on. It was on the other side of the Del Taco of the People's OC we work at right now. You know the business center on the other side of the Del Taco? There's a giant business center.
Oh yeah, where the flame boiler is.
Yes, it was right next to Flame Boiler. We saw the
No
Flame
shit.
Boiler being built, and it was taking forever because we're like, nice, now we have a lunch spot to walk to.
Yeah.
It was literally like, doot, doot, like that, very close.
Wow. So I frequent that area pretty much all the time. Flame boiler is like my second favorite chicken bowl place. But what was the vibe like there? I mean, it seems a little more upscale now. Was it
a trap shop, but it was like it was pretty nice. Like it was well designed inside. It had everything was in, all the weed was in mason jars, and you were weighing out the weed in the little pop top containers.
Mm-hmm.
This was like just as concentrate and wax was starting to hit the industry, so we were literally weighing out little dabs of gram wax in the little plastic containers for customers.
Then you guys did all the stuff in the back too,
Yeah,
right?
nothing was pre-packaged like it is now.
Yeah.
So
That's
we're
pretty
rolling
wild.
all the pre-rolls that we sell.
Jesus.
We're weighing out all the weed in front of customers. It's like they call it deli style. They still do it in Oregon. Even though it's legal, they still do it deli style in Oregon. At least most of the shops in Oregon still do it deli style.
And were you one of the people rolling everything up?
No, I'm not doing that. I'm just like customer service, front lines, selling weed,
No, yeah. I've seen it.
We were told amazing. Everyone has to roll 10 pre-rolls a day, but no, I'm not rolling 10 pre-rolls a day.
Yeah. Can you roll a pre-roll?
No.
Okay.
I can roll a pre-roll with a pre-roll roller, but not freehand.
Oh, okay. Did they want you to roll them freehand?
They had pre-roll rollers there, but I don't know. I was like, I'll do anything. I'll clean the windows. I'll vacuum. I'm not rolling pre-rolls. I just don't like doing it. It's too meticulous for me.
Okay. And it's like more of a hobby for you rather than like
right. Than something like I want to.
Like you're working at. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
And I like customers. I like talking to people and like educating them on weed, and that's why I like selling weed and being like a bud tender,
And how was the trap clientele back then compared?
It was
to
very
this
similar
now?
to People's because it's the same. It's literally 300 feet from where our shop is. So
I just thought it was more like
you got way less.
The demographic was more.
It was
like
a similar
higher.
demographic. I would just say way less old people.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Was more old people,
but still a good amount of old people, just not as many. Because the what's it called? The stigma of weed was still very kind of, this is just a stoner thing, rather than there's medicinal benefits of it. Mm-hmm. There's no like, we didn't know what CBN or really kind of what CBD was yet.
Yeah.
And
like when you actually did you know about like all that stuff before you actually got into the
CBN and CBD?
Yeah, like all those, because when I first started, it was like I was just like, I just smoke, like it's weed.
Yeah, that's how I was. I didn't know like if I had even heard the term CBD. Wasn't really like concerned with it. You know, I can't recall if I knew what CBD was back then.
Okay.
And even at that shop, we refrained from posting the THC percentages on the menu because we knew people would just cherry pick the strains based off high THC percentages, which is the case, which is still happening now. Like people just going, just give me the highest THC one,
which is I heard is a myth, right?
Right. It's like, do you go into like Bevmo and go, hey, give me the alcohol with the highest alcohol percentage? I
think that's a little different, but right?
Yeah, I mean a little apples and oranges-ish, but still, it's like that's not the way to buy. It's just does anyone buy a car and goes, give me the fastest car? No, there's other aspects to it, like, how does it drive? Is it safe? Do I like the look of it? There's other aspects. Of course, THC percentage plays a part in it. Yeah. But just saying, I just want the highest one, and that's all I'm basing it off of, is kind of silly. And like,
it's very stale high, right? Yeah. You don't get all those other, you're right. All those other factors that go
when customers today ask me, like, what else should I be looking for? I was like, well, you can't smell the weed here at our shop, but you should be smelling it. You should be looking what it looks like. Mm-hmm. You should do your own research and see what terpenes you like or what kind of high you want, so THC and also we always used to say I could sell you a 28% THC strain and a 23% THC percent strain, and the 23 might hit you way harder than 28 for whatever reason.
Okay.
Maybe it's the strain, maybe it was the way it was grown, maybe it's how your body is reacting to things that day, maybe it's how much you've eaten that day, maybe it could be like 100 different factors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like most things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know, and it just, sometimes when they tell me that too, I'm just like, honestly, I've just learned to just be like, hey, all right, it's that one. You can have that one.
Yeah,
because like it gets to a point where like when you do try to explain it to people, they're kind of like they don't really care.
Yeah. And you get to a point when you're seeing so many people that you stop caring as someone that's selling it. You're like, okay, I just want to get to the next customer because I don't have the energy to explain to every single person. Oh, wait, no, it's actually, there's certain cases where you're like, oh, I could vibe with this person, so I kind of want to give them a rundown and better education. But there's some people I'm just like, you want the highest THC? Sure, I'll go grab it for you and sell it to you.
And it's generally like older people who are like, I'm in and I'm out, and I don't want anyone to see me here.
right, exactly. Like I just want my shit and bounce.
Yeah. Because of that aspect, did it really make the job like the trap shop was? I would say the trap shop was a little more genuine then, right? Like people were kind of like wanting to know what exactly they were putting in their body, or was it kind of the same vibe of like, oh, in and then out?
It didn't. It felt more like, I'm trying to think. Let's say you go to a grocery store to buy some like deli meat, some prepackaged deli meat, right? And you can go to a Ralph's and buy a pack of like slices of turkey for your sandwiches, right?
Yeah.
Or you can go to a butcher shop and they'll tell you, oh, this is where it came from. These are kind of like, if it had this like more intimate experience.
The trap shop did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Where this feels just more like a retail shop. We could be selling, pretzels for anyone cares,
Yeah.
Like the trap shop, at least the one I worked at, felt more intimate. Like, oh, you're having a one-on-one personal experience with the customer, and kind of like, oh, here's all these different strains that you can open up these big mason jars. They're filled to the brim with flour.
Yeah.
And they can smell each one. They can see each one clearly because they're in these big clear mason jars. So it had this much more like intimate experience, more so than where we work, which just feels like we're working at Target.
And then did that allow you to like want to move up? Because I know you said that you had actually climbed the ranks and like got through it. Did that allow you to move up, or did the interest, or what kind of sparked you to like continue your like place in the
One,
industry?
I really like the people I worked with. Two, I like money a lot and liked it even more back then.
Yeah.
And when the owners of the dispensary said, oh, they moved up one of their guys pretty quickly when he displayed like some good like leadership qualities and was just responsible, I was like, oh, I could move up quickly here because there's no HR, there's no like corporate ladder I have to like adhere to. They just see that I'm putting in good work and they go, okay, you can start as a manager next week.
Yeah.
And I also saw that it was like a 5-room building, and overnight they turned one of the rooms into a break room, as opposed to like now, how many hoops does corporate have to jump through to make any type of change? And so that's one thing I liked about the trap shop is like, oh, they need $30,000 to go switch this room into a break room. Boom, let's do it tomorrow. And I was like, oh, things move quick here.
Yeah.
And changes can be made quickly for the better. Whereas like in anything corporate, it has to go through management and then corporate and HR and all these hoops and finance team. Whereas like, oh, we made $20,000 yesterday. Let's put it towards adding this feature or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
And when did you actually move up to manager from being a bud tender?
It probably took me about a year working there as a bud tender, just to learn all the aspects of how to talk to customers about weed, because I was already selling stuff door to door. That's about as like front facing with the customer as you get, stepping on their front of their door. So I was always comfortable talking to people, but getting just accustomed to like how to sell weed, how to talk to people about weed, me myself learning about all the products and all the like different strains that we carried and how to present it to customers, especially because 10 years ago, even more so, it was like people were like, oh, what the hell, I can go into a building and buy weed and pick from different choices. It's like a candy store in here.
Yeah. So wow. So after a year they moved you up?
Yeah, so after a year they called me one day and they're like, hey, we need someone to kind of manage on the weekends. Are you interested?
And you were like, yes.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, I said yeah for sure.
So you were part-time manager first.
I was like, yeah, I was still like full-time bud tender, and then like 2 or 3 days out of the week I'd manage it.
And this was like you would consider training for yourself.
Yeah, and I already kind of was keeping my side eye open on how the other manager was doing things, and picked up things that he did and kind of sprinkled in my own type of like managerial style.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Damn, I keep getting stuck.
Yeah.
So you did you have any like manager like experience before this, or
No.
are you just so you're going into this just
I'm
straight,
just going like dive
just-
feet first in the deep
yeah.
end. Like
You seem like a very ambitious person. So like if
I mean,
something's not like in like something's not the way you like it, you kind of just like are like, okay, well let me just see how I can change it or put a little bit like of my sauce onto
right.
it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, because you when I first met you, you were really quiet and like not quiet. That quiet's the wrong word. You were just more like to yourself, like reserved, I guess, more or less. And then like, but I could tell like when you don't like something done a certain way, you kind of just like, okay, let's see how we can change it. You know, boom, 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 fast, quick. You know, it's like silent but deadly type of deal,
Right. So I'll give
know?
you a small example of that. Like, so eventually I became a full-time manager there, just to fast forward. And then they opened up another shop, and they literally were like, here's the keys to the kingdom. We're handing you the keys to the shop. You're going to run this whole thing. You're going to hire people. You're going to stock it with weed that we kind of provide. And that didn't work out. They eventually got shut down, and they got a license for a legal dispensary. And then from there, I went to a different dispensary and managed that one. And here's a small example of me finding something. I'm like, no, we're not doing it that way.
Yeah.
In this new dispensary I started working at for a whole new group of owners, they had a TV inside the dispensary against one of the walls inside the budroom. So like if we put on like Netflix or YouTube, except it was against the wall that if you're a patient staying in line, it was behind you. So you had to turn around if you're a customer staying in line and watch the TV rather than having it on a wall that while you're staying in line, you're just front facing the TV. So my first move was like, why is the TV on this back wall where someone has to turn around while they're staying in line? It makes no sense to be here. So I put a couch on that wall where that TV was and then put the TV on the opposing wall so that people, while instead of staying in line, they could sit there and wait and watch whatever we had on the TV. And so I did that instantly. I was like, this makes no sense that this was here. And
Yeah.
like little small things to get people to keep coming back and being like, oh, this is nice. I get to chill for a second while I'm waiting to buy my weed.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because like I know a lot of you seem like that too when you're just kind of like standing around at work, like you just like I don't know if you are really doing it, like analyzing things and kind of like making sure that everything's good. I don't know. I just there's just certain like aspects of like what I see, and like you're not a bud tender. It's clear, like you're not someone who just sits there and just handles people all day.
Yeah, tell that to management.
Oh, dude, I wish, dude. You seem like someone who's very like you kind of know what you're doing. You know exactly what needs to be done. And you're right, there's just these fucking corporate hoops. And honestly, I think they're just looking for someone. Don't you have your degree, though?
No, I don't have a degree. I dropped out of college to work full-time in film because that's what I originally wanted to do.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah,
what were you
man.
going to do in film?
Anything. I love movies.
You always got to start like porn, though, right? That's like usually the basic of it.
It was mostly trans porn. No, I'm kidding. No, I started just working on commercials like for McDonald's and CVS and Walgreens.
Like you were filming, or
No, I was a production assistant on the sets.
in LA. Like
Yeah,
you would go to
in
LA
LA.
and stuff.
Yeah.
How did you land those? Did you just show up? To
Well, yeah, I've
whatever they
always had a passion and interest for film, and then two of my dad's best friends are in the industry. One's a production designer, which is basically when you watch a movie, anything that's like background, and it's called the art department. So anything that's background, like if this whole thing would be production design, like how the blinds are, how the walls are painted, how the plants look.
Yeah.
That's all production design. So my dad's best friend was that for like big movies like Spider-Man and Men in Black and
Oh shit.
yeah. So he would get me jobs. My first job was working on a Slipknot music video.
That's fucking sick, dude.
And so I started doing that, and I was like loving that, but also that pays horribly.
Well, yeah, because you're just starting out.
Right.
You're basically like an intern, right?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
okay.
You're basically kind of like a paid gopher.
Are they pretty mean on set?
No, everyone's
just
cool.
movies.
It's a cool environment. They always, the kind of motto in filmmaking is like you do a very intimate thing with complete strangers. So you become a family because you're all in this thing together for like a finite amount of time, like 4 or 5 months to film a movie. And then you're with each other every day for 15, 16, sometimes 18 hours a day.
Oh, shit.
And then the movie ends and you sometimes most of the time never see those people again.
Wow.
Because
very
it's just
strange.
movie to movie to movie, or TV show to TV show or commercial, whatever the case may be.
It's a very strange aspect. I never
It's
thought
super
of it like
weird,
that.
yeah. So like
It's like a class, like a
right.
like when you're in kindergarten or something.
Right. And so I dropped out of college because I was studying film, and then I started getting jobs working on productions. I was like, this is my school, is being on sets. You know, I'm not going to learn anything better than actually being on a set. So yeah, I don't have a degree, but to go back to the we thing.
Well, that's what I think that like they want. They're kind of like looking for people with like degrees to like, and it's more of like a show. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of like, oh look, there's this guy.
We hired this guy because he has a degree from
he's
blank.
a bachelor from so and so.
Right.
But he doesn't even smoke cannabis.
Right.
It's just
and
like,
that's part of the problem with the industry right now is you have like all these super smart. I mean, to some degree or another,
book smart
executive people that came from other industries and go, well, I can apply my knowledge and experience to the cannabis industry when in some cases it works, in a lot of cases it doesn't, and that's what's wrong with the cannabis industry right now. But there's also all these hoops that we have to follow, like entering stuff into metric and sampling stuff out, and so that's my biggest problem with the industry is like, if you look at, for example, the display cases inside people's OC, how many times do customers come in and go, oh, can I get that? And you go, oh, no, we don't have that. And they're like, well, why do you have it on display?
Yeah.
So if it was me, I'd take everything out that we don't currently have in stock and replace it with everything we do have in stock. It seems very simple for customers. Because if you're a customer and you go into a store and you go, hey, do you guys have this pre-roll? Oh, no, we're out of that one.
Have you seen those cases, though? Seems like a bitch to constantly...
Yeah, there should be someone that's dedicated just to doing that. And there used to be, and they fired that person.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, man. There used to be this woman named Liz, and that was her only job, was updating the display cases.
Wow. They just fucking...
They let her go in the wave of, like, letting people go at the company.
Because they didn't find her job, important enough?
I guess they figured they could save money by having one of the assistant general managers at the shop do it as well. That's what Laura does.
Yeah, and she...
But, you can only juggle so many plates.
Yeah.
Wow,
it's interesting. And going back to that little corporate thing, I just want to talk about that, too, because, like, at my last job, which was a fucking...
Hey, speaking of, do you mind if I light up a joint real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Can you tell us what this joint is?
So these are the Lowell Farms, these new pre-rolls they launched. They're like 10. They're called Lowell 35s. It's 10 tall pre-rolls. You know the Pure Beauty cigarette ones we got?
Yeah.
They're kind of like that. They're like rolled similar to a cigarette. They're very thin, but it's just, nice little...
So nice smoke?
Nice little hitter. Yeah, they're nice.
Nice. I will not be taking a hit of marijuana today. I have a drug test coming up. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, well, I just wanted to say, going back to that whole aspect of corporate, it's kind of annoying that they like they do that, because my last company that I was working for, they did the same thing to us. It was this fucking dude, random ass dude, who he was like the CFO now, and he was talking to us about the products, and he was talking to us about like our house products being on the same level of THC Design, and I was like, come on, dude, like THC Design's a good brand, and they're pretty much dedicated to like putting out flower. They don't have any retail places or anything like that. Nothing crazy, like you guys are doing. And so I had asked him, I was like, hey man, do you smoke, or have you tried any of the products? He's like, well, I take a gummy every now and then, but realistically I don't smoke. And I'm like, so this guy is making all the decisions and telling me about a product that I'm supposed to be pushing and putting out there. Yeah, it's like it can be complete trash and he doesn't even know it. So yeah, and in that sense, that aspect of like, man, like we have people running the show who don't even use our stuff, don't even know what's going into like other people's bodies, and and it shows in the business, right? Because I mean, I've only been there a couple months, and I've kind of seen business slow down a little bit, and I'm sure you've been there a lot longer, and business is kind of like slowed down, or is it just the time of the year?
I mean, I started at the one we're at now in May, and it's been pretty much consistent. I feel like, but our coworker Chase, who's worked there for I think almost 2 years now, said it used to be like nonstop, a lot, like 10 or 12 people in a line all the time. Where now we have breaks of like, 15 minutes go by, we don't see one person.
Yeah.
So I think since he started, it slowed down considerably. But since I've been there, it's been pretty consistent, give or take. Random days when we have rushes, or it's like incredibly slow because we had a holiday weekend or something like that. But yeah, to go off what you said about some corporate guy coming in. Remember when we were working together that one day, and those people from that brand Kiva came in and he had no idea what Blue Dream was.
Yeah,
it's like being the vice president of Anheuser-Busch going, oh yeah, so what's Coors Light?
Yeah,
like, what?
Yeah, what are you doing, dude? Yeah. Wow, dude, you're really good at this. You should start your own podcast.
Should I?
Oh yeah, dude, for sure. You're very good at like talking. Well, no, I keep fucking up and like I'm all over the place right now. It's been a minute,
bro. We're just vibing. It's all good.
What else was I gonna say?
Do you have any more questions you have on your phone? You put out like a little slate of questions. Round those off.
Yeah. Well,
I'm an open book, dog.
You kind of answered most of them. It's only been 20 minutes too. I'm gonna edit all this too because this.
I can't wait to hear the edited version.
Yeah, it's gonna sound a lot, but it's not gonna be me like, I keep fucking up.
I wish I had Joe Budden's voice. Joe Budden has a great podcasting voice.
No, he does not.
Yeah,
dude.
man. He has a deep, gravelly voice. It sounds good.
Raspy.
Yeah, I like that. I like a raspy voice.
He's not doing it. Something like that, dude. Fuck that guy, dude. Did you see like he was on Adam? He was on No Jumper. Well,
yeah,
he had Jumper.
Adam 22. I watched that whole thing. It was incredible podcasting.
Yeah, was it?
I mean, yeah, it was just entertainment.
Views. Yeah, and
it was just pure entertainment.
But what do you feel about the actual situation that they put him in? Because I was like, man, he's just pretty much a journalist. These people come on there because they want the interview. They don't have to talk about it. Why is it that they're putting all the blame onto him for wanting to ask questions that everyone really wants to hear, but and he's. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me why he's putting that on them.
Yeah, and also there's multiple examples from what I've seen. I've been following the Joe Budden podcast since its inception when it was just on SoundCloud when they weren't on any like Apple Music or Spotify or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've been following the Joe Budden podcast since before, Rory, the white kid?
Yeah,
before he was even on it.
Oh, it was just him and Mal.
It was him. No, before Mal. It was
really?
just him. Or maybe it was Rory. It was him, Rory, and this woman named Marissa.
Oh,
Marissa Mendez, yeah. This is like 2000. This is at least 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But Joe Budden's been guilty of doing the same thing he accused Adam of doing. So it's like, come on, bro.
Like
and you're also putting this out as a podcast confronting Adam. So you're confronting someone for clicks as well.
Yeah, so it's kind of like
you're kind of like Dear Kettle calling the
the kettle black.
Yeah.
I know that's fucking annoying, dude. I didn't understand where he was trying to like what point he was trying to make too. Well, I understood the point, but he wasn't really making it very well.
Right, and also I think his big issue is the optics of a white man
versus getting money out of black culture.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And it's like, dude, people have been doing that for years. Just calm down.
Yeah, and like I don't think Adam's, because I've been following Adam closely as well too for many years. I don't think Adam doesn't strike me as someone that's exploiting. I mean, he did explicitly say he makes money off all these, but he doesn't seem someone that's like exploiting the culture for his own gain. Like,
no, and then he
consumes it himself. He's interested in these things himself. So to say he's like exploiting all this, I mean, maybe to some degree, and I'm white, so it's like, I'm not really one to talk.
Calling the kettle black.
Just from my perspective, it doesn't seem like Adam is someone that's exploiting it just to like, I'm only here to make money, and that's it. I don't care about these people. I don't care about these storylines. Like, you can tell Adam does care about this, and like otherwise, I don't feel like he'd have the following that he does, because people know when you're being sincere and insincere. They can easily spot like, this guy's being a cornball, or this guy doesn't seem genuinely into it.
Yeah, I don't think and he employs like they're I don't know if you know any of the other podcasts on the show, but like a lot of those guys are from like
the streets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and they're
now they have a full-time job and probably making decent money working for him.
And they're out of the fucking the gang life that they're in. So like it's just hard to like really it was fucked up, bro. I was watching it and I was like, man, these guys are just crazy, going in on him, dude. And it's like he couldn't really do anything. He couldn't really be like get mad at him back, because like there's just like 4 black guys there just like,
yeah, it's
you're
like,
a fucking white supremacist.
Essentially, like, kind of, yeah.
Okay. Sorry. What do you want me to do?
He did a good job of kind of defending himself the best he can, but yeah. And also, I'm not a huge fan of Joe Budden's like producer guy, Parks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow.
He kind of chimes in every once in a while. I'm just like, bro, shut up. You're adding nothing to the conversation.
Is he white?
He's white, yeah.
Oh, okay.
At least that's what he looks. He looks white.
And he was like agreeing with Joe Budden.
Yeah, he's like
you shouldn't be doing
he's
that.
Joe Budden's guy. Even during the breakup of Mal and Rory and Joe, he stuck with Joe Budden.
Well, that was the smart move, bro. I mean, you're not gonna go with people who are kind of nobodies. Joe Budden makes the show.
Yeah,
right?
true. But I really like Joe Budden did make that show, but I really enjoy Rory and Mal's podcast too. I watch that quite a bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
they have their own thing going on.
Yeah,
now.
they have their own podcast.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I like it.
It's the same
I
thing
kind of
hip-hop.
I used to be a ride or die Joe Budden podcast fan.
Yeah.
And then, I feel like people that were fan of that show, the Joe Budden, Rory and Mal, when the breakup happened and Rory and Mal, those two guys went their own way,
they're like, fuck no.
all the fans kind of were like, oh, well, we have to decide if we're
one?
going to go with Rory and Mal or stick with Joe Budden. And I kind of went with Rory and Mal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You picked a side.
Yeah, I picked a side because I was just like, this has happened over and over with Joe. Anytime he's on any kind of like entertainment platform that breaks up, it seems like Joe Budden's the cause of the problem.
Always, dude.
Always.
I mean, look at have you seen Everyday Struggle?
Exactly.
He like totally flipped out on Lil Yachty or not Lil Yachty. He did do that, but
yeah, Lil Yachty.
He just was like,
classic.
you're a little bitch, like all the time. I was like, dude, what's the point, bro?
Yeah, relax, man.
But that aspect also is what like makes him so entertaining, though, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
it's like
so that's.
I heard someone from ESPN say about regarding Steven Smith and all these like guys that are like, talking heads on ESPN. The E in ESPN is entertainment. You don't have to be right all the time. You just have to be entertaining.
That's what.
And
Steven Smith got rid of Max Kellerman. He also got rid of the other guy. Who was the other guy?
Skip Bayless.
Skip Bayless.
And they had formed their own show, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp.
Skip. That shit.
So yeah, so it's like you don't have to be right. You just have to be entertaining, and people will watch.
No, they show how wrong he is most of the time too. That's the worst part about that shit, dude. Is they will show like I think they had a poll of like there was like 6 Super Bowls Stephen A. picked, and like he was 1-5 in all the Super Bowls.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it was just like, dude, like it seems like you know nothing about sports, but at the same time, like you're over here talking about how LeBron needs to be a better person. Like, stop it, dude. Who the fuck are you? Definitely enjoy it. We got off topic a little bit, but I want to know about the time because this is one of the specific stories I want to talk about. Is
all right, hit me.
That time that you actually got when you were how you left your old trap shop days.
Oh yeah, so it was a beautiful morning in March of 2020, and at the time at the trap shop I was working at, every morning you'd have to do a drop. So essentially all the cash that the shop earned from the previous night, I would drive down to quote unquote the headquarters of these 6 trap shops that these owners own. So I drove from Arcadia, California to Anaheim, California every morning that I'd work and deliver, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 of cash to the headquarters from the account and, all that shit.
Yeah.
So every morning I'm driving around with a giant black duffel bag of a ton of cash. And it's like a 35, 40-minute drive. And so one morning, the dispenser I worked at has a small parking lot. It's a 1 driveway in, 1 driveway out parking lot. So you can only leave one way. And one morning, as I'm about to pull out, a black Lexus sedan pulls right in front of the driveway as I'm pulling out. Now, my first thought is, this fucking idiot parked in front of the driveway. I'm going to have to honk at him so he moves out of the way. Like, scoot up a notch so I can get out.
Yeah.
And by the time I finished that thought, 2 gentlemen with guns pour out of the back seat of the Lexus sedan and start banging on my Prius car window. And my initial thought was, 1, I know they're here for the drop that I have in the back of my car, my trunk. And 2, I wasn't scared in the moment or nervous. I was more kind of an eye-rolly thought. Like, I was just like, God damn, I have to deal with this bullshit now.
Mm-hmm.
And they bang on the door. I open the door because they can't they're not breaking the glass on my door, on my driver's side window. So I just open the door and they're like, open the fucking trunk, give us the fucking money. Now, because I am in a little bit of a panic mode.
Classic robbery move.
Dude, classic. Now, because I am in panic mode, I forget that in my car, which I won't give away what it is in this podcast, in my car, if the car is unlocked, then the trunk is already unlocked, and there's no switch on my driver's side to unlock or pop open the trunk. You can just someone can just open it if the car is unlocked.
Yeah.
Which my car already was. But because I was in such panic mode, I flipped the switch on the side of my seat, and that popped open the gas tank thing, and the trunk was already unlocked. So I go, "Oh, it's unlocked, it's unlocked." I have panic, and they open up the trunk, grab the bag that had $25,000 in it, and run back in the car and in their black sedan and drive off. It took about 18 seconds in total, and come to find out after doing some research on our shop security cameras, it was an inside job set up by the security guard, because our security guards were hired through the a motorcycle gang called the I forgot the name of the motorcycle gang.
Hells Angels.
No. Mongols, yes.
Oh, it was the Mongols.
Yeah, the Mongols were our security for all these dispensaries.
No shit.
Yeah, and so I don't know for sure the day that guard that day was part of the Mongols, but I know for sure that he set it up. Because I did some research on the security cameras. It's a long story, but the only footage of all the different cameras in the entire shop, the only footage that was missing of all those different angles was the one camera pointed inside the shop that the security guard was operating. And only that 18 seconds of the robbery was missing from the entire day from that one camera.
Oh,
so
shit.
he deleted it, but as the robbery was going on, he either deleted it right after the robbery, like seconds later.
Yeah.
Because right after the robbery, I ran back inside to check the footage.
Yeah.
And he must have deleted it. And there's no way that car would know exactly when I'm leaving the shop without the security guard telling him, like, all right, he's pulling out, pull up. Because I checked the footage. The car that had the robbers in it was already waiting on the side of the building for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then
that's fucked up, man.
Yeah, it was wild.
I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah,
to you.
no, it's all good.
Yeah.
It was a wild experience. And it didn't really occur to me what had happened until like days later, and I kind of kept replaying it in my head, like, oh shit, like, even if they didn't intend to kill me, a slip of the finger on the trigger, or something goes wrong, or I push them, or something. I could have easily. We would not be doing this podcast. You'd be doing it with a ghost right now.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
So
these mics picked up a lot, actually.
Huh?
They said these mics pick up a lot, actually.
Yeah. So you never know. So after that, I was like, and after the way the management handled it, I was just like, all right, it's time to start looking into. I sent the footage of the robbery to my best friend, and he said, is all this money you're making at the dispensary worth your life, bro?
Definitely not.
And I was like, yeah, great point. And I stayed there probably another month, and then I left. And that's also right when the pandemic started. It was March 2020.
So you were out of a job for...
Yeah, I was out of a job. I was also going through a messy breakup with my ex. A really horrible, messy breakup. So I was out of a job from May until... or April until July.
You had a lot of money saved up, though, right?
I had a good amount of money saved up. And also, because I had a messy breakup with my girlfriend at the time, I moved into my parents for a month. But I was still paying rent in my apartment because my ex-girlfriend was living there, which is a whole nother story we'll save for another podcast.
Yeah.
So I was still paying rent on a place I wasn't living in. But yeah, I had a decent amount of money saved up where I was chill until I got another job. And I luckily got a job within 3 months.
Wow, dude. That's a rough experience to have. You tell it so like easily almost. To a point where some people like they probably break down and stuff like that. Is it just because you've dealt with it? Have you like let it replay in your head enough to where it's like, okay, well I'm fine now, it doesn't really matter? Or is it something that still kind of like catches up with you?
Yeah, every once in a while. I think I told you this when we were working together one day, but every once in a while there'll be a day when I'll go for a walk with my girlfriend and the car will kind of pull up to a stop sign rather quickly, and it will like kind of trigger me a little bit. Or if I'm at a light and a car pulls up kind of awkwardly or it's blacked out, I'm kind of like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
But for the most part, I just kind of look back and think like, wow, it could have ended way differently. It could have gone horribly wrong, and I wouldn't, I said, I wouldn't be here right now, and that'd be horrible. But yeah, I've like, I try to
keep it under wraps.
Yeah, keep it under wraps. Take the experience with stride and the learning experience. Like, I probably won't ever go back to working in a trap shop for that reason.
Yeah, what a fucking story. Honestly, that is so crazy.
Yeah,
just that experience alone, just I don't know. So after that, you said that you had to move back in with your family because you had a messy breakup.
Yeah, I moved in with back in with my dad for a month, and then I found this apartment that we're recording in right now. And then quickly after that, I found a job working for Unrivaled, where we work now. I worked at Unrivaled Corporate for a year and a half.
Oh, so you've been there for a minute then.
Yeah.
Oh, you've seen all the changes that have actually happened.
Yeah.
And, we have that retail side of it. What about the corporate side of it? What do you see that's like...
When I first started there, man, it was amazing.
What was amazing?
Working in that corporate office was amazing. It was fun because they merged with a publicly traded company last July, and since then it's been downhill, and everything changed once that happened. But before that, it was just 30-something guys running like a little startup weed business, essentially. Mm-hmm. Now, Korova had been around for a while. It had been around since like at least 10 years already, I think. And but it hadn't become this kind of like big, almost corporate-y type of place. Yeah. But it still had this kind of intimate feeling of working in like when I first started there, I was like, this feels like I'm at like this feels like I'm Silicon Valley at a cool startup. You see in movies and TV shows where there's like swings in the office, and there's beer in the fridge, and there's snacks at the counters.
Super laid back.
Super chill. I could wear whatever I want. That was the first time I was like, nice, I can wear like my Jordans and cool jeans and cool t-shirts and show my personality through my dress and stuff like that. So when I first started, I was like, man, this place is awesome. And I can see myself here for the foreseeable future. And then that was a year, and then when we merged with corporate, things started to change. Small little things that are kind of meaningless, but you have a good sense of like, we had lunch catered every Monday for all the workers. That went away. Like these small little things that aren't that big of a deal and are really nice, but you're just like, oh, okay. Mental note. Yeah. These changes are starting to happen, And
when these mental changes are starting to happen, those like basic things, do you think those like so you enjoyed coming to work every day? Do you think that actually made you want to work for the company and work harder?
Oh, for sure.
Compared to like
for sure, I was always volunteering. You know how we have brands that come into the shop and do PADs, and they're just staying at the front door with their little booth. Uh-huh. I started volunteering, not volunteering in terms of payment, like I was getting paid to do them, but volunteering my time on the weekends to do those for Korova. So I do those for Korova all over at all different dispensaries, just because I wanted to like show like the initiative that I'm working, and I like working for this company, and I want to help out as much as I can. So immediately, like 2 or 3 months in, I was like, yeah, I'll do that on a Saturday. Like, show me what to do, and I'll do it. I'll drive around to, out to the desert to dispensaries out there and pop up as a Korova rep for sure. Yeah. And then as soon as the corporate thing happened and the merger, I was like, yeah, I'm not so inclined to raise my hand first to help out when first of all, I don't see you guys aren't recognizing my, wanting to do more. Mm-hmm. And also I had applied for a different position within the company that never came to fruition. So all these little things started stacking up. This is like a bash on Rivaled podcast now. Oh yeah. No. Right. So there's a lot of stuff I really enjoyed. I really loved about it when I first started the first year there. And then, as soon as we merged with that corporate beast that's in the corner of our paycheck now, I was like, nah, I'm good.
Should we mention them, or you think that would be?
No, it doesn't matter. You think they're listening?
They'll find it somehow, dude. Well, if we make it big, for sure. It's just crazy. There's a lot of it's just crazy how much people like pencil pushers can actually affect people's well-being and their welfare.
Oh, huge
their job. It's kind of sad, actually. It's kind of sad that
and there's a million stories like this,
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, it's happening at people's.
Yeah, exactly.
It happened at Ease when I was there. Again, just these dudes who are just hey, we're gonna stop catering for a month to save what, a couple $100.
I mean, it was a lot of money when they added it up. Every Monday they cater for the office, and it's not that many people. It's like 20 people, but 20 people every Monday
times what, 50.
Times 52 weeks is what? Yeah, 50 is $14,000.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
it's not necessarily about the money. It's more of I was telling this to someone that works at our shop, one of the managers of the shop. It's it's more of showing what you value, or the way you value your employees.
Exactly.
So it's not necessarily about the food. It's about like, oh, this thing that was like a small little treat for us to look forward to after the weekend is now gone because you're nickel and diming the company.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
whereas like if you invest in like, not even that, if you know, if you invest in these small little things that make the workplace environment better, you're gonna have employees that want to show up for you and do good work. And I've always said that even at my trap, like the trap I worked at, sometimes they were in gross, rundown buildings, and so anything I could do to improve the shop, like, you know, buy a bunch of snacks for all the employees to have on hand so they can snack while it's downtime. I was trying to convince my boss to get a couch for the back room, so when they're rolling pre-rolls, they're not sitting on a sturdy chair, but they are comfortable while they're rolling pre-rolls. All these little things that people are, oh yeah, now I want to come to work because it's fun and it's relaxed and I'm having a good time and I'll put in the work, you know?
And do you think that you can probably put that aspect in if they allow you to maybe take a little?
Probably not, just because it's so corporatized now.
Yeah,
I can only make those changes because it was a trap shop and there was no corporate hoo-ha to jump through, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas like the other day I asked one of the managers, oh, can I do this? And they're like, well, no, because we have to input in the system and blah, blah. It's like, all right, never mind.
Yeah, yeah, honestly. Fuck it then.
Yeah.
Damn, I had a question. I forgot it. Because I think you'd be a great manager, honestly. You seem very laid back. You seem like get your job done and there won't be any problems, you know? And that's like, it's kind of like,
yeah, pretty much, man. We're not, I tell this when I'm in job interviews, and maybe this is the wrong thing to say, but we're not doing brain cancer here, or we're not doing brain surgery here. Like, we're just selling weed. Like, yeah, there's a job to do, and we need to be responsible and respectful and everything, but we're just selling weed. Like, let's have some fun here.
Yeah.
They sucked all the fun out of, like, all the cool factor of selling weed every day. That's why I said, like, we could be selling pretzels. It doesn't matter now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
It's a very stale, it's getting turning into a very stale industry where everyone's just kind of like, oh, I hate being here.
Right, because it's been, and also that was kind of, it was a double-edged sword because you would tell people, oh, I work at a dispensary when it was a trap shop, and people would be like, ooh, like, it sounds so dangerous, right? And now you tell people you work at a dispensary, and they're like, oh, okay, cool.
Like you're some slacker.
Not a slacker, but just like, it's not a big deal anymore. Like, the lore of working in a dispensary and selling weed is not the same as it was 10 years ago because it is so... because of the legalizations, because, you know, it's the stigma of it has gone away, so to speak, way more, that it's not like, ooh, you sell weed inside a building, at a shop, at a dispensary. Now it's just like, oh, anyone with an ID can walk in. You don't have to worry about getting shut down by the cops every day. So all this like allure and danger, for lack of a better word, of working in a dispensary is donezo. And so it is just like, oh, you could say, oh, I mean, there's still a tad bit of it because you're not at Rite Aid selling, you know, coughs, you know, Advil, but it is still weed, where it is kind of like a slight edge. But I feel like just the allure of, you know, I would tell girls, oh, I work at a dispensary, and they'd be like, oh, really? Like, so you have a lot of weed at home? I'm like, yeah, I work at a dispensary. And now it's just like, oh, okay, cool. You know,
that danger that you're talking about is that, I know we have some outbursts at work, but I'm sure there was a lot more at the trap shop, right?
Oh yeah, way more, especially because most trap shops are not in gray areas to begin with, so you get a lot of kind of like people that come with not so great areas, you know.
Yeah.
Of all shapes, sizes, colors, you get crazy people, black people, white people, Asian people, Indian people, Mexican people, every type of person. There's crazies within every group, you know. So if you're in a bad area, you're gonna get crazies of all kind, and people that are yelling or don't like this, or, you know. So
well, speaking of that, like, other than that story you just told me, what's like another crazy, like, what's a crazy customer story that you've had, like, in the trap shop? Is someone like threatened to come and shoot someone, or like
we had someone that called that said there was an active shooter inside the dispensary, so the sheriff's department had sent in like 10 guys with like rifles to come snoop out the shop one time.
Oh my god! And they just shut it down.
And they just shut it down. They're like, we don't care about this weed. We're just looking for the active shooter in here. I'm like, there's no active shooter in here, man. Someone just is fucking with you guys.
But they shut it down after, though, right? Because
no, they kept it open. They didn't care. They shut it down for like a few hours while they inspected the whole place. But no, we opened up after an hour afterwards.
How does that work? If
because
if there's clear criminal things going on, like,
because they have to go through the city and get a what's it called? A warrant.
Yeah.
So they can't just bust in and decide to shut you down. I mean, I guess technically they can because they're cops and they can do whatever they want. But if they don't want to be sued or held liable for just shutting down a business, they still do need a warrant. They're still walking into a private property. From what I understand, that's how it works.
Did that happen to you frequently? Where like you just like
No, I was never in a raid. But raids happened all the time at dispensaries I worked at. I just was lucky enough that I wasn't working on those days.
Oh my god. Dude.
Yeah, so I've never been in a raid, a real raid where they're shutting down, where they're coming down there to shut down the shop.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah, I had the first time it ever happened. It was my day off, and I just got a call like, "Hey, the shop just got raided."
Just we're moving you guys somewhere else.
No,
basically.
it's just shops are shut down for the day or 2 days.
Oh, it wasn't even like it's shut down at all.
They just take all the product and then we just restock it, or sometimes they don't take all the product. You know.
Oh wow.
It was wild, man. It was like that's why they called it like the Wild Wild West. It was like anything could happen at any time.
They call it that now, and I'm just kinda like I don't see it that way.
It's safer now than it's ever been. We have like 7 armed guards through a legit security company. Yeah. You know, like we have everyone's ID on file. That was the other thing. It's like we didn't have people's ID on file. They just filled out a form, showed us that they were 21, like showed us their ID, and we go, okay, yeah, go inside. So there's a lot more precaution and steps in place. So people feel safer working there. That's one big upside of it is like you don't have to think about, oh, are we going to get raided today? Are we going to get shut down? Yeah. That's one big aspect of it is like, oh, okay, like you feel that's why you see so many like 80, 90-year-old grandmas and grandpa coming in and
because they feel safe.
Right. And also like it's in display cases, it's packaged nicely, it looks presentable. It's not like here's a
baggie or a nug jug.
Here's a plastic cup of weed,
yeah.
You know? Yeah.
That's pretty crazy, man. I know that fucking I remember going into those things and it's just being like very different now than it is now. Like up to 5 years ago, because I had got my med card in the first dispensary I had been into. It actually looked pretty nice. I couldn't say that it was very.
Yeah, some of them are really nice for sure.
It was right on Catella and something I can't remember, but fucking it was beautiful. Like they had the nice glass cases. There was stuff hanging up. Things were packaged other than like the actual
weed
buds. Yeah, and it looked. I looked official, but
no, there was some really. The first one I worked at was very nice and had a kind of Zen vibe to it. And,
yeah, exactly.
And then I worked at other ones where it's just like brick walls and display like crappy glass display cases and. There's dirt on the walls. And
dirt on the wall?
It's just like grimy.
Yeah.
Like, if I showed you the inside of the bathroom, you'd be like sickened.
Yeah.
And
that's funny.
And that was like kind of there was other ones I worked at where there was no running water, there was no electricity. The electricity for the building was powered by a generator outside that someone would have to go like restart every 6 hours or whatever. And there was no running water, so you'd have to like a bucket of water or go to the Starbucks across the street.
There's
no AC.
Crazy.
There's no windows. It's just like that's why they call it a trap. You're trapped inside just selling weed.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, man. I definitely had a ton of fun working at them. I was making I was making a lot of money. I only hired young, cute girls. So it was like I was having a fucking blast. But yeah, you had this like element of like we could get shut down. Someone could rob the place.
It's the trade-off. Your opportunity cost
yeah.
of like, being on that high scale.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, wow. Well, we've been going for about an hour now. It's about 52 minutes. Is there anything you'd like to say? Anything you'd like to talk about?
Thanks for bringing all the equipment over and me checking out how it works.
Yeah.
Should I start one?
You should start one. You're very good at talking. Honestly, it's.
That's all I'm good at.
Yeah. No, it works though. I mean, it works for you. I mean, if you have a gift, why not use it?
Yeah.
I'm a terrible host. I know.
No, it's all good, man. You're doing great.
Just
next time I'll my first podcast, you'll be my first guest since you hosted me on my first podcast.
I'm down.
You're down?
Yeah, let's do it. I remember one of the first podcasts I had. There's this guy who's just about to tell me a story, and I don't know if I did this during the podcast because sometimes I kind of lose where I'm at. He was like he was about to tell a story, and I was like, wait, hold on, and then I was like, can you tell me a story about? And then like as he was like already about to say the whole story, but I had stopped him in the middle just to ask him if he could tell the story
on the podcast.
Yeah. Dude, I was like, fuck, man, what an idiot. But it all comes with like learning experience too. You know, you got to know when to like ask the right questions and all that stuff.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, even like someone just riffing like you, I think I'm a lot better at riffing and just talking about things rather than actually like
prompting the questions
exactly,
and prompting the conversation.
I'm not a big interviewer just because I don't really care sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cut that out. But yeah, it was fun. Honestly, it was a good time, and hopefully I can come back here, or you can come to my place and we can figure something out.
For sure, man. I'll even. What if I reversed it and I host you on your own podcast?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm down for whatever. Yeah.
Fuck it.
We'll schedule something again, maybe next week or something like that. I got some time.
We'll figure it out for sure, man. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for coming on. And this is CheekzCast with your host, Damien, and then with my special guest, John.
Thanks. Bye.